Hey guys, Nate here. In this video, I want to talk really quickly about what you, if you are a business owner, should consider when hiring any sort of marketing agency. I think this goes across the board for any type of marketing agency you are planning on hiring. And I'm hoping that if there's an agency owner that is watching this, that you get a little bit of perspective in the way that we should be operating for our clients. Now, obviously, the industry has been really plagued kind of across the board, and a lot of mistrust has grown over the past couple of years because everyone thinks that if you just buy a Facebook marketing course, you're an expert marketer. And now we can, run all kinds of accounts. I learn how to sell something. They sell a package. They screw those people over. And now we have somebody that has lost a lot of mistrust in the marketing agency. And I hate that because it hurts us a lot because with that mistrust there, basically everything just becomes kind of a little bit harder and in the way that we operate and there's a lot more communication that has grown that has to go on because essentially I always compare our industry, the marketing industry, to a financial planner. And if you think about it, you're handing over your money to a financial planner. It's kind of a sketchy thing. I mean, there's been so many bad financial planners in the past that have lost people money and stolen people's money. And so it makes people a little uneasy to think that although no one is actually transferring money to us, the marketers, we are still in charge of these people's money while we're running on their account. So even though we don't have any legal bonding, I always refer to us as fiduciaries. Because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to act out of the best interest of our clients when we're marketing on their accounts and give them the absolute best possible outcome and the best solutions that we have to our abilities. And so when evaluating an agency, I think you have to break it down by what type of agencies there actually are. So there are two baseline types of agencies. Essentially, you have freelancers, you have boutique agencies, and then you have corporate agencies. I'll kind of just break these down really, really quickly. But when it comes to freelancers, those are your individuals. I think that's obviously pretty obvious. Obviously, they're going to be the individuals that you're going to hire maybe off of off of Upwork or off of something like Fiverr. It's going to be an individual. That's mainly what it boils down to. Is this person's an individual. Now, depending on what you're going for, depending on what type of freelancer you're hiring, maybe it is just a single person in a company and he doesn't have anybody else hiring. That would, to me, even be better. I would say in terms of price range, you're probably looking at around anywhere between 500 to 1500. There are some freelancers that are very good, again, that are running their own company. They're just an individual that are very, very good that are going to charge closer to $3,000. Then you have a boutique agency, which is multiple team members, and you're going to have a little bit more flexibility and stability for growth there. Boutique agencies are also very nimble and very easy to change for you and for your growth plan. Then you have corporate agencies. Corporate agencies are going to be the very, very big agencies. And those are going to have a lot of employees and a lot of clients running a lot of accounts, and they're going to be very, very large. Also on the boutique, I forgot to mention the price for one of our boutique agency for hiring them. I would expect anywhere between 3.5 to around 10 grand per month. Could be a little bit higher depending on how big this boutique agency is. Some agencies are able to scale really large and still maintain being a boutique agency, but that's probably the price range you're going to see for those. And then for corporate agencies, I would say that you're probably going to look around the price range of around 10 to 20,000, and I've seen some contracts from 20 to 50 to 100,000. But again, that's where you're getting into the millions of dollars in ad spend and millions upon millions of dollars in revenue. It's going to come out to be a lot. There's a lot of work involved with that, and that's not for just a single package. That's probably for running multiple platforms. Millions of dollars in ad spend is probably what you would see a contract price for something like that. In terms of my favorite agencies, or my favorite type of agencies, and I've always considered myself a boutique agency. I think boutique agencies, the difference is that for the majority of people, boutique agencies are going to be the best because they are the most nimble agencies. So like I said, they can change and adapt to your growth plan. I think that's going to be really important because not everybody is starting with a couple $1 million, right? And so there's going to be a lot of growth involved there, and boutique agencies, to me, are typically better at they're more like ragtag teams. It's more like the A team, right? Everybody kind of has a really solid specialty. They're really, really good at what they do, and then they're also able to change and adapt to the changing situations that might arise or from the growth that's happening inside of your company. So some things to consider when hiring an agency. I think that it comes down to being really important because I think a lot of people ask the wrong questions when it comes to hiring an agency. And so even though they thought they did everything right, again, it just builds more mistrust because they thought they did it all. And they thought that they evaluated them, well enough. But typically, I mean, salesmen, there can just be really good salesmen out there that are really good at what they do. But how do you know that you're hiring the right agency for you? Even if that agency didn't do great, it doesn't mean they're necessarily a bad agency. It just means that maybe they weren't the right agency for you, for your company, and maybe you should have gone with a different agency. So this is going to kind of destroy your entire, this is going to kind of destroy your entire outlook on the way you've been kind of going about it. But honestly, I think that most people should forget case studies. I think that case studies have become too much of a flaunting thing, right? Where it's kind of like you're showing your feathers. It's oh, I made the $10,000 here, and I made $1 million here, and I made this client $60,000 here. I have no issue with case studies. I think case studies is fine, and it's a good thing to have case studies and kind of show what you can do. But the issue with case studies is that they're just unicorns, essentially. A lot of people assume that when looking at case studies that because this agency got that person that $100,000, that means that they're going to get me that $100,000. I think it's kind of a false sense of security, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense when evaluating an agency to mainly base it off of case studies. Typically, I don't even like to show case studies that often because, again, it's a false sense of security. And I know people that work in agencies that have no case studies, and basically the people that say, you have no case studies? No matter what they say, even if it's right, even if I know they're good marketers, the client will not go with them because they don't have any case studies. So I understand why the benefit of case studies. I understand showing that to people, and it's kind of like that cushion of support that you have in the back of your own mind that this person at least has done this before. That's what I think case studies should be used for, that this person has just done this before. So if you're someone that's saying, I want to scale to $1 million, obviously there's different levels of scale. Well, this company over here has at least done this before, but don't assume that because there's case studies that that's going to, work out the exact same way, that it's going to be as easy as scaling to $1 million in 4 months, right? It's not going to be that easy for everybody. So I understand the viability of case studies, but at the same time, make sure that's not what you're focusing on. Make sure when you're evaluating an agency that it's not some false sense of security that because there is this case study, therefore that is going to happen for me. When it comes down to an agency, I think the most important thing you need to ask them is about their process. This is why case studies, they might show some fancy pictures and flaunt some things over here, but what is the process actually described behind that case study? What actually happened? What is the process that they go about advertising? And then how do they relate that to your current situation? Everybody's in a different situation. So how do they relate that to your current situation? And how are they going to scale you? The problem is that not a lot of agencies know. They might have some general idea, but especially if you're talking with a salesman, not a lot of salesmen are going to know the exact process of scaling. It might be something really simple, like a 1, 2, 3, but given your current situation and the problems that you have or that you're dealing with or that a client is dealing with for the agency owners out there, what is the actual process that we take you from X, if you're an X and Y, how do we take you to Z? Or how do we take you from A to B? I don't know why I didn't just start with A to B. I don't know why I used X, Y. But anyways, what is the actual process behind that? What's behind the curtain? And can that be explained in an apt way to where you understand exactly what they're talking about? I think that's going to be really important, and that's going to be really important for you, the business owner, when hiring an agency. Do you understand what this person is talking about when he's talking to you? Is he using very vague numbers like, oh, you're getting a really good click-through rate? Well, okay, well, what does that mean? What does that tell me? How good am I actually doing? And what is the actual literal scalable process that they can give you? I think that's going to be the greatest assurance, because at the end of the day, again, those case studies, it's kind of a false sense of security. It doesn't mean anything that it's going to happen. It just means that they have done this before, that they kind of know how to do it. Okay, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can go to a restaurant that has 100 really good reviews and you can still get a bad meal, right? It depends on the chef that's cooking that night. Depends on a lot of different circumstances. What matters is that an agency is going to stand behind you. And again, this is why I like boutique agencies, to be nimble and change and adapt to your growth plan. I think is what's going to make the biggest difference. Again, it all comes down to where you are and your plan to be able to grow. How is that agency going to adapt to that plan? And do they have a plan for you in terms of how you're going to grow that they can break down and actually understand it very viably? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found value in it, make sure that you subscribe down below. And why don't you go ahead and smash that like button? It really helps me out with the algorithm. Thank you guys so much. Until next time.